My name is Noah. Welcome to our PhoneDog.com video. You know, recently I saw a YouTube comment where somebody said something like, man, I hate it how, or maybe it was a comment in somebody else's video where they said, at least you don't say, hey, what's up at the beginning of one of your videos. Because, you know, that's what I usually do. I say, hey, what's up? I'm Noah from PhoneDog.com. So I'm trying different things on, see if I can find one I like better. Not because somebody told me to, but it just brought to my attention, and I've been thinking, you know, maybe it's time for something new. So I don't know. Did you like that one? Hello, my name is Noah. This is a PhoneDog.com video. I don't know. Well, I'll try a few more. We'll see. This is the LG eXpo. Windows Mobile 6.5 smartphone from LG and AT&T, powered by the almighty Qualcomm Snapdragon processor. You might have heard of it because it's the phone, or the processor rather, in what Google's calling their superphone. So if the Nexus 1 is a superphone and the eXpo has the same chip inside, doesn't that make the eXpo a superphone also? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a PR person. I don't make these things up. But the LG eXpo, Windows Mobile 6.5, it does have a Snapdragon processor. Not doing an unboxing. I've had this phone for a couple weeks. This isn't a full review because I have not had the chance to really fully test it out yet. Between the holidays and going to CES and everything, just, you know, I've played with it some, but not a full review. But it's not really an unboxing either, because when I got the phone, the box was already open and the phone was already out because the folks, thanks to AT&T for loaning us this one, and the folks at AT&T activated the phone for me, and actually when I took it out, the phone was on already, so couldn't quite be a real unboxing. So it's kind of like a first, you know, hands-on impressions of the device. It's a side slider, as you can see. Windows Mobile 6.5 Snapdragon processor, like I said, 3G, Wi-Fi, 5-megapixel camera on the back with a flash. It's got this crazy fingerprint scanner / optical D-pad on the front. So, you know, it kind of functions as a D-pad, but then it's also a fingerprint scanner that you can do things with. Kind of crazy. So we can, let's see, we can go through, we can use it to kind of scroll through things. And actually as a D-pad, it's pretty bad. You can't get very precise with it. I found the best thing to do is to use very short, quick swiping motions. So I can kind of swipe with it, but I have to keep my swipes in the area, you know, actually my thumb within the area of the D-pad. If I go too far, it doesn't really register. If I go, you know, kind of slowly and try to get precise, it sometimes doesn't register. Although I don't know, maybe I'm getting the hang of it. But, and then up and down is kind of tough. But anyway, you get the idea. But then it's Windows 6.5. There is a stylus somewhere. Oh, it's not on the phone. It came with a stylus in the bag. In the box. But if we go, it's also got the GPS, Bluetooth, all that stuff. And then in addition to Windows Mobile 6.5, it's got the LG S-Class interface. So instead of going with the Windows 6.5 interface, you can go LG S-Class. And you know, you can navigate through the menu that way. You can kind of swipe through your menus and deal with things this way. Little weather application. Here's your fingerprint sensor, and you know, you can set the motion sensitivity and the turbo scrolling speed and that kind of stuff. But not really great as a full-on touchpad. But that's okay, or a full-on D-pad rather, but that's okay because the touchscreen works pretty well. It's resistive, not capacitive, but not too bad. And then you've also got this nice slide-out QWERTY keyboard, which is actually a pretty good keyboard. It's rather wide, and it's kind of taken me a little while to get used to. But it works pretty well. If I go down to text here, and I compose a new message, and I say that the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy sheepdog. It's got a chiclet style action, but pretty good. The one thing that's a little kind of throwing me off is that the space bar, it's interesting because it's centered as far as the keyboard goes, but it's offset relative to the screen because the screen is, you know, sort of offset to the left relative to the whole width of the keyboard, and then the space bar, you know, being in the middle of the keyboard is then a little bit right to the center of the screen. And so actually where the center of the screen, you know, more or less lines up with this line in between the keys where the space bar starts. So honestly, to a normal person, probably not a big deal. To me, because I'm constantly using, you know, I have right here outside of the frame of the video, I have 5 phones. Yeah, and that's not even the whole of the office I'm working out of. So, when you use so many phones, you notice these kind of weird little quirks. But, probably not that big of a deal. Function keys, nice little on-screen indicator of your function and your caps lock, which is kind of nice. It does also have an on-screen keyboard, which is relatively terrible. You can use it in a pinch for sure, and you can use it with your fingers even. But, really not all that great for quick texting and that kind of thing. So then beyond the S-Class interface that I showed you on the menus, you can also turn on, in the Today menu, they've got this thing called LG Idles. And so I set the Today screen to LG Idles, and now we've got this whole tutorial showing me how the LG user interface works. And so basically what you've got, we'll get rid of this, stop, is you've got almost like an HTC Sense or SPB Mobile Shell type UI laid over Windows Mobile 6.5. So you've got widgets down on the bottom here. So you've got a little weather widget. I need to change that. I'm not actually in New York, but that's okay. Last updated 12 days ago, I was going to say. You can also go to the LG menu, which is where we just were. We can go to, scroll through, favorite contacts, favorite multimedia, messaging, email. So if we click through and we go to the inbox, we get down to Windows Mobile email. So, like HTC Sense, there's only kind of so far it goes. You can set up a shortcut menu. So we can add a shortcut there. We'll add a shortcut to AT&T Navigator. Now we've got an extra shortcut. So kind of a nice little implementation, making things a little bit more useful than, the standard, or I should say a little bit different than the standard Windows Mobile home screen. And, the widgets, arguably more useful. I don't want to say more useful, arguably more useful. But it works pretty well, although I just I swiped when I shouldn't have swiped. Then you've also got your LG Contact Manager, which is, kind of graphically a little more friendly, perhaps, than the built-in Windows Mobile Contact Manager. Nice, big, easy-to-read fonts. And there you go. So some customizations on the standard Windows Mobile 6.5, courtesy of the folks at LG. And you can swipe through. You see the 3 home screens on top. So you've got a favorite contacts home screen. And if we swipe again, we'll go back to that main screen. We'll swipe to the other side and our favorite multimedia screen as well, which you can see from down here. You can also get to those on your bottom menu. I figure out how to set that that weather widget to where I am. There's your calendar widget, schedules they call it. Instant messaging widget. And so there you go. Kind of a quick tour around the LG EXO. Now, of course, you're kind of saying, where's the projector? Where's the projector? Because the big news about this phone is that it's the projector phone. There's the phone itself, $199 on contract from AT&T. There's an optional $179 accessory. It's a projector. So there's an optional accessory that snaps on. It's a projector, a $179 pico projector that snaps onto the back in place of the backplate. And you can use it to project whatever's on the phone. You can watch, PowerPoint presentations or Windows Mobile movie files or photos or what have you. We weren't able to get the projector yet from AT&T or LG to test out, so hopefully we'll be able to before we have to send the eXpo loaner unit back. But in the meantime, so far so good. The Snapdragon processor is fast, perhaps not quite as fast and smooth as the Android phones that I've tried that have a Snapdragon processor, and I think that's just due to the build of Windows Mobile versus Android. But, that being said, compared to other Windows Mobile phones, it seems pretty responsive. And, size and feel-wise, it's a nice size and shape. Here's the T-Mobile Touch Pro 2 next to it. The Touch Pro 2, obviously a larger phone, larger display, but it's, that similar, side slider look and feel that's pretty common right now. Open the phone up sideways and you get kind of the big icon menu, which is nice. The Touch Pro 2 obviously tilts. The XP doesn't. The keyboard, though, you know, even though it's not a 5-row keyboard, it's only a 4-row keyboard, and it's not offset, you still get nice big buttons on the eXpo like you do on the much larger Touch Pro 2. And I'm just showing this to illustrate. Touch Pro 2 is at the top of my list of business smartphones for 2009 and all its different incarnations. It's called the Tilt 2 on AT&T, just didn't have that one handy. But I think, you know, looking at a Windows Mobile-based business phone, the eXpo definitely, you know, is right up there. Got to put through more testing, but you know, it's a little bit smaller, a little smaller screen. I don't think you get Opera Mobile pre-installed. You can install that yourself, but it's more compact, which is really nice. And then it's also got a solid keyboard, and then obviously that fast Snapdragon processor, which hopefully, you know, they'll be able to squeeze more performance out of as they optimize code or maybe even release Windows 7. Otherwise, on the device, the other thing is that you don't get a 3.5mm headphone jack. You get proprietary, you know, or not proprietary, but micro USB based headphone, which is kind of too bad. I would have liked to see a regular headphone jack. At this point in the game, really no reason not to. Otherwise, you've got, you know, your, like I said, your dual mode headphone and charging accessory port on top, micro USB, your power lock switch. On the other side, you've got 2 dedicated shortcut buttons, micro SD card slot. I should take the film off of this. I still have the protective film on. On the back, there's your 5-megapixel camera. And on the other side, a rocker switch, little lanyard hole there. There it is. And then on the front, you've got call cancel buttons, a back button, and then that fingerprint scanner optical D-pad doohickey. So there you go. It's a first look, not an unboxing, but kind of a hands-on, not quite a review, kind of first impressions of the LG eXpo Windows Mobile 6.5 smartphone for AT&T with LG's own S-Class UI running on top of Windows 6.5. Give it a little bit of a different look. $199 on contract direct from AT&T. If you look around, you might be able to find it cheaper. I don't know. You know how to use the internet, so go find it. We'll have much, much more on the eXpo, including that projector attachment if we can get one. All the other new phones from AT&T, LG, and all the Windows Mobile phones, everything else over on phonedog.com. Until next time, I'm Noah. Thanks for watching. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.